Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. So today I wanted to talk about something really interesting and that I'm learning a lot about lately, but super fun and honestly really powerful for creative writing, using tarot as a tool for inspiration and creativity. I'm deeply respectful of tarot's history and everyone that shares their knowledge about it. I'm learning a lot, but let me just get this straight. I'm not going to talk about tarot reading as a prediction or divination tool. I'm going to talk about as a storytelling system and how you can do readings for yourself about your creative project. All the respect, I'm learning, but I wanted to share what I learned so far and what I did help me get some creative block out of the way. So what is tarot? Tarot at its core is a deck of 78 cards. We have 22 cards, which are the major arcana, and we have 56 cards, which are the minor arcana. Arcana means secret. What do you mean when you say secret? So if you ever took a tarot card in your hands, you know that there is this symbolism and storytelling already happening. There's so many symbols and details. Then when we look at a card, even if we don't know nothing about it, we can already make some observations and reflections upon it. You know, like the Fool, for example. He is just open arms in the sun and he has his little bag. So he's ready to go out probably, but he's about to fall and he doesn't know because he's looking up. And there's this dog maybe warning him, or the dog may be cheering with him. And so you already can look at it and tell a story about it. And that's what I think is so interesting about tarot. Its symbolisms, its archetypes. Let me just touch briefly on the history of tarot. So tarot didn't start as we use it today. The first tarot deck that we can pin back to was discovered in the 15th century in Italy, and it was originally used as a card game, similar to like modern playing cards. It had many different updates since then, and only later in the 18th century was associated with symbolism, spirituality, philosophy, all of those things that we link tarot to and reflect. So tarot eventually evolved. It's so rich in imagery, archetypes, meaning people use it for many different reasons. I think it's just amazing to see something that began so far back and to see what happened until today, what people learned about it. Let's talk about Carl Jung. So he was a psychiatrist and psychoanalyst who founded analytical psychology in the 20th century. What does he have to say about tarot? So he actually had this idea of archetypes. Archetypes are basically universal patterns that we can recognize because of the human experience that we all have and we all know about. For example, we have the hero, we have the mentor, we have, the shadow, we have the empress, we have the emperor. Okay, we're going to get there. But these archetypes, they show up in myths, in history, and even in our modern day lives, we can link archetypes to our experiences or the people that surround us. And yeah, they are just these universal patterns that not only us, but people from ancient times also recognized. And tarot cards, especially the major arcana, they can be linked to archetypes. So when you draw a card, you will realize that it's not just an image, it's a story, that is happening there. And another way that is very interesting to look at tarot is through the Fool's journey. So the Fool is the number 0 card, actually. Sometimes it's the 22nd. Very briefly, as you move through the major arcana, you can see a narrative happening. So we have the beginning, and then we have the magician that takes action. We have the high priestess, and she is just pausing and looking at things through her intuition. We have the tower, that means that chaos is happening, like in the third act of a story. And then we have the world, which is the 21 card, and is the completion of that story. It begins in the Fool and it ends in the world. So it is a full character arc, okay? It already has a kind of structure, I use it today as a sort of creative prompt or something. I am very deep into a story. I'm still in the first act, but I'm getting into the second, and I wasn't sure what was happening anymore. You know, when you write and then months pass and then you're not sure like you can do next, you know, to connect this dot to this dot. So I just asked, what story can I write? You know, what is the story needing and wanting? And I got 3 cards. So I got Strength, and then I got the Knight of Swords, and I got 4 of Pentacles. So I reflect about it, and I'm going to be reading my notes, okay? I just, you know, I need them. So Strength could be a character trying to control his inner thoughts, inner emotions, or fears. As you can see, there's this lady very gently taming a lion. She is amazing. The Knight of Swords, if you look at him, he is moving very fast, very determined, you know. So maybe he could represent a character that acts before he thinks. Finally, I got the 4 of Pentacles. So he's holding on to them. And he could mean a fear of loss. He could mean materialism. He could mean resistant to change, you know. And so they gave me an idea about my character. Maybe he's trying to maintain control, but he's struggling, and he is taking on impulsive actions because he's afraid to let go, you know. And that can be true, that can also not be true. That actually resonated a lot, but then again, it couldn't. And then I could just think about, wow, what if he was resisting to change? What if he was taking impulsive decisions? What if he had an internal conflict? That just made me reflect and be inspired to write some ideas down. And I asked 2 more questions, and I'm being totally honest about it, okay? This is literally what happened today. I'm not grabbing like easy cards. So I asked, what could I add to this story? And I got the Emperor. That was really interesting. He is a figure who demands authority, demands control, and he could mean someone, a character that is just very authoritative and maybe a strong external force adds conflict to the story. Thinking about it, because my character recently moved away from the main antagonist, half a country away from him, and maybe he needs another emperor. I'm thinking about it. And then I asked, how can I bring that emperor to the story? And I got the Queen of Wands. First, look at her, because she's just adorable. But Queen of Wands is someone who's very charismatic. Look, she has a sunflower. She has charisma. She is very just bold. She's open, you know, to her people. And yeah, I just think that she has a lot of creative energy. You know, just because she has that flower, and she also has her cat. Maybe I could bring that emperor and add that conflict through, you know, giving maybe my characters more presence, more voice, more charisma, leaning into that intensity. Maybe my main character does something and then that emperor responds to it. That's just what I did today. And how can you use it? Because that's why you clicked on this video. You can do exactly what I did, or you can do more questions. I'm going to put the questions here. But so imagine that you don't have a story set yet, and you have a vague idea, but you want like a 3-act structure. Then you can take like 3 cards, you know, or you can take like 9, and then the first 3 could represent the first, and then the second could represent the second row, the second, and then third, you know, you get it. And you could ask yourself, what story are these cards telling? So maybe I would begin the story with someone leaving their hometown, and he's just very confident that everything is going to work out well for him. It doesn't. He gets his heart broken. Someone betrays him, something happens. He finds himself hopeless, you know, and then another thing happens that could bring light to his own internal conflict. And the result of that is meeting someone. We also have the Justice card. Maybe justice is made. Maybe he finds a mentor who is someone who is isolated from society. But yeah, I think it's interesting if you draw them not knowing what they are, because then that's where the inspiration comes, and then you get your brain to work on it, you know? So for character building, you could ask the cards, like, what is this character showing to the world? And then you can ask, what is he hiding? And that could be an internal conflict, you know, maybe he's on the fence, maybe he's standing his ground. You could ask, what is the relationship between those people? You know, you could just do a chemistry test. What can those two characters do together? And then you get a card that says they can build something together. Like, you can also ask the cards about central conflict. You can ask about challenges. You can ask about outcomes. There's no like right or wrong way to do this, because you're really playing with your creativity and your own intuition. You can also do a reading about creative block. What energy could I channel today to get out of this creative block? And then you get a card that says that you are able to do all those things. You have the power to act on them, and that can just like motivate you. So final thoughts. I think tarot is just an amazing tool. And so in using tarot as a creative tool, you can explore more ideas, you can access your imagination, your intuition. I think it's a really beautiful way to tell new stories. And there's not only tarot, there's so many forms of art that you can explore, you know, in history, in your life. And, you know, maybe you go after this video, you go and search for Carl Jung's archetype theory, or you go and search about the Fool's Journey. And that's really what I wanted. I just wanted to share what I'm learning, and because I really didn't know about all those things. And I just think it's really amazing. A takeaway from this video, I think, is just study and learn about new things that interest you. You know, don't be afraid to go out there and read about it and learn about it, and find a way that it can connect to your own experience. I'm just very grateful because I just find many YouTubers that talk about using tarot as a creative tool as well. They are also talking about all of those things that I already did, but in a very more knowledgeful, deep way. And so make sure to check that out as well. I hope that you guys like this video, because I really want to share more. And that's it. Bye.